I mean, it's a cute little phone. I like using it, so why did it take me so long to finish this review? Hey there, this episode of Some Gadget Guy is brought to you by viewers like you. All of the folks sharing content across social media, and the amazing generosity of my patrons at patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. More info on those awesome nerds later in the video. The folks at Vivo sent the X200 FE my way to review a while ago. I took it on a road trip. It's a punchy little phone, and I like it a lot, especially for folks looking at a smaller, powerful phone with some pretty solid cameras. It's just a tiny hair smaller than something like a Xiaomi 15, just a tiny bit bigger than a Galaxy S25. I love the color they sent me, and I love that it came with a case that matched that color instead of a black bumper or some kind of clear bumper that would start to look like tea or urine stained. And in true X series fashion, it came in a proper big box with the case and a fast charger in the box included with the price of the phone. This phone is a champ, but I really locked up on trying to come to some kind of conclusion. I'd love to hear some thoughts down in the comments under this video. What do we expect now from an FE model phone? If it's Fan Edition or Fashion Edition or whatever we want those letters to stand for, I got stuck. I was proper locked up on that. I literally couldn't finish a script. I kind of have a poor opinion of the label FE from the wild days of the Note 7, where Samsung refused to send us a return kit to safely dispose of that phone, to the more modern era. I struggled to see where a lot of FE devices fit. To me, it's a parts bin phone. We have these components, we can staple them together and come up with a phone that should sell for a bargain based on some kinds of compromises. But I'm not sure why that would be for fans. Sometimes that feels really cynical, like our fans will just buy anything we put out, and it feels less like this will be a really good deal for our fans. Specifically to the X200 FE, it too feels like a parts bin phone, but depending on what price you can shop it for, it could lean more towards a decent bargain. But its toughest competition are other phones in Vivo's lineup. I think it's a pretty solid collection of parts. We've got a nice bright screen at higher than 1080p resolution, which on a phone this small, it looks pretty good. And especially for folks who might like to hold their phones a little closer to their faces. It's a decent fingerprint sensor. It's optical, but it's pretty quick. Fun features like the smart remote are still on tap. There's no wireless charging, but the win here, this is a small phone with a huge battery. In most regions, this will come with a 6,500 milliamp hour battery. You see, super thin phones are really stupid, in my opinion. This is not a thick device, and it has a 65% larger battery than a Galaxy S25 Edge. The battery in this little phone is 25% larger than the battery in my Pixel 10 Pro XL. I can't even line this up well on camera while I'm holding it. It's both shorter and skinnier. We're not getting anywhere near the best battery tech here in the United States outside of a company like OnePlus. Because even with the big battery, we still get 90-watt fast charging with that charger in the box. This can easily be run for 3 days of use as a communicator. Me hitting it harder, driving the cameras, it was still a 2-day phone with room to spare. I would only need to charge it when I really needed to charge it, and charging happens fast. It's crazy. Almost the same thickness as the Pixel XL, so much smaller in height and width, the battery so much bigger. I do not miss wireless charging at all. Now, the chip in this phone and the cameras are where we see that parts bin approach to constructing this phone. The chip in the phone is a Dimensity 9300 Plus, the mid-year refresh of MediaTek's top chip from last year, 2024. This is still a remarkable amount of compute power, where this chip can often outpace the Snapdragon 8 Elite from 2025 in CPU-bound tasks, and absolutely embarrasses the Tensor in the Pixel, even when using Google's own apps like Google Photos. Now, Qualcomm can pull ahead on gaming performance, but that's where a Pixel is at its weakest. Happily, this phone also includes battery bypass for gamers. You can reduce heat and battery wear by plugging in your phone and not charging the device. And I'm happy this is showing up more and more, even on phones that are closer to the mid-range. I think we really need to do a better job of explaining compute power on mobile devices. This is a year-old chip that is still redonkulous overkill for daily driver average consumer tasks. We legitimately are in older laptop territory in terms of compute power. Again, parts bins, the cameras you might recognize. They seem almost identical to the Vivo V60 I just recently reviewed on this channel. Almost the exact same layout and module. Vivo brings a few more advanced features and software, but the hardware, I think that's identical. The camera sensors, the lenses, apertures, everything. But we do get 4K 60 video recording here, but we don't get other computational features like Super RAW, which we get on the other X200 phones. The shooters are good, but they won't quite impress like an X200 Pro or an Ultra. The main camera sensor is smaller than the Pro, but it's a good mid-range sensor size. It's similar to what you might find on an iPhone 17. The telephoto doesn't have super long reach, but it does have a slightly larger sensor than a Pixel 10 Pro, a Galaxy Ultra, or the iPhone 17 Pro. The telephoto on an X200 Pro is next level bleeding edge. The FE is simply competitive with other phones in the USA that sell for over $1,000. This phone does not sell for $1,000. Most importantly though, the FE arrives with a color flash called Auralite. This is a feature previously only found on the Vivo V series, which makes it really handy for shooting portraits of other people. It's a little brighter, and it's a bit better as a fill light, especially when you're in the dark, but it has a wide color temperature range. It's a feature I'd love to see on the proper X200 phones. It's here on the FE because we stapled a Vivo V camera to an X series device. But that's one of the few times I can think of where an FE got a practical upgrade over the non-FE version of a phone. So all of this is solid. Why did I get stuck? Vivo makes a lot of phones. There is an X200 Pro Mini with a newer Dimensity 9400, a better main camera sensor and wireless charging, but a smaller battery than the FE. And in some regions, the prices are pretty close between the FE and the Mini. Even compromising on the battery capacity, there are a lot of other wins. I think a lot of folks would probably lean over to getting the X200 Pro Mini. Also making it difficult for the FE is the competition coming up from behind. If you don't need the smallest phone or 4K video recording, you can swap down to the Vivo V60 and get a reasonably close experience to this for a bit less cash. You see, there's a lot of Venn diagram feature overlap between the three phones. Someone wanting the smaller size, a cuter look, and all the battery life, this makes pretty good sense. But I have to take this back to the question that locked me up, and in lieu of a conclusion to this video, I have to ask again. You're watching a phone video, you're likely a tech enthusiast. What do we want out of an FE version of a phone? This is a good phone, and against a Pixel 10 or a Pixel 10 Pro, I'm not concerned how this hardware will age. The more discerning folks who are interested in mobile performance might want the newer chip in the Mini, and I personally resemble that comment too, but the aesthetics are a little more fun here. So what say you? Drop me some chatter on this one, because we have so many different phones still, and mid-year refreshes, and T-Series, and S-Series, and FEs now. I think some of us are really struggling to categorize all of this hardware. How do we make a good purchasing recommendation to our family and friends? And if I get some good conversation going, I'm going to dedicate a chunk of my podcast to this topic in a week or two. I really want to talk through some of the responses that I get. So drop me them hot takes, let's mix it up. As always, thanks so much for watching, for sharing these videos, even when I don't have an ending or a conclusion to these videos. The subscribing, that's great. Smashing that bell icon, that helps algorithms. But if you want to keep up to date with what I'm really doing, the best place to go is patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. This list of names scrolling by on your screen right now, a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart. These are the folks that are helping to keep the lights on here in the Gadget Lab, and they get early access to my videos, all of my videos in 4K, production diaries, behind the scenes, the private Discord. They're basically the coolest tech pals in the universe, and they don't have to rely on YouTube for getting notifications when new stuff comes out. They're always up to date. So I hope you'll consider joining the crew. I hope you'll check them out. I hope you'll consider joining the community at patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. Now, you know where you can find me across the rest of the internet at SomeGadgetGuy, basically everywhere, but these days, I'm trying to spend a bit more time on the Mastodons, a little on the Blue Skis, and a lot less so on the Facebooks and Threads and Instagrams, and none at all on that dumpster fire site. And I will catch you all on the next, not a review, next rambling editorial.